Okay, The Cremation of Sam McGee by Robert W. Service. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that'd make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now, Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of golds, he could hold him like a spell. Though he'd often say in his homely way, he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way along the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold, through the parka's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. For eyes we'd close and our lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. On that very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, the dogs were fed and the stars o'erhead were dancing heel and toe. Sam turned to me, Cap, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request. He seemed so low, I couldn't say no. He says with a sort of a moan, it's this cursed cold, and it's got right hold till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet tain't me a dead. It's my awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains. Well, a pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore that I would not fail. At the break of dawn, we traveled on, but God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched in the sleigh and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. Before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried, horror-driven. With the corpse half hid, I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, you may tax your brawn and brain, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains. Well, a promise made is a debt unpaid. The trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, though my lips were dumb, my heart, how I cursed that load. Long, long night by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows. Oh God, how I'd load the thing. And every day that quiet clay would heavy and heavier grow. But on I went. The dogs were spent, the grub was getting low, and the trail was bad, and I felt half mad. But I swore I would not give in. I'd often sing to the hateful thing. It hearkened with a grin. So we came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. I looked at it, thought a bit, and looked at my frozen chum. And here, said I with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor and lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around and heaped the fuel higher. Well, the furnace roared and the flames just soared, such a blaze you seldom see. Then I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. The huskies howled and the winds howled and the greasy smoke and leaking cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear. But the stars came out and danced about ere again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked. It's time I looked. So the door I opened wide. And there sat Sam looking cool and calm in the midst of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile you could see a mile, and he said, Please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Tennessee, down an old plum tree, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have their secret tales that'd make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights. The queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee.